Well, at one time, he was one of the youngest head coaches in America at Wright State, and he won 23 games a few times and got to the conference tournament championship. Really paved the way. Wright State has done well without him, but Billy Donlin really paved the way, and I think Missouri-Kansas City got a real steal by hiring him.
And the opening tap is won by the Aggies and Evan Gilliard, who wears number 20 today in these retro Aggie throwback jerseys. Will run the points. Gilliard's worn 3 different numbers now this year, 11, 0, and now 20. We'll see if the Aggies can take advantage of the lack of size today for the Roos. Pick and pop for McCants, who's been a 40% three-point shooter during his junior year.
Well, it's surprising that he made the big game winner a year ago against Grand Canyon, but he's not a great free throw shooter, but he seems to be a terrific three-point shooter.
Roos averaging 71 points per game. They shoot 46% from the field, which is first in the WAC. Nesbitt Jr. to a good three-point shooter, Rob Whitfield. This is Brandon McKissick with 5 to shoot, working on Rice, a fall-away jumper. We like this young man out of Ferguson, Missouri.
We do. He's strong and tough, and he can really create space, as we just saw.
Played his high school ball at St. Louis University Junior High School. Ivan Aorekoechea draws a foul, and the Roos have to find a way today to keep Jordan Giles out of foul trouble.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say, is that to start off with a foul when you're about the only big guy on the bench, on the team, could really create some problems for the Kangaroos. And so I look for New Mexico State to go inside as often as they can.
First foul on Giles. Aorekoechea, 53% free throw shooter. We talked before the broadcast, Russ, about him shooting threes now, and you mentioned he still needs to improve on his free throw shooting.
Well, it's a funny statistic for both of the Aggie big guys, that they're both pretty good three-point shooters but struggle at the foul line.
4-2 Aggies, just over a minute in. Brandon McKissick, one of the returners for the Roos. Slings it outside for Giles, who can shoot threes. He misfires on that one. Ripped in by Johnny McCants. Gilliard the skip for Jabari Rice. The Aggies without A.J. Harris and Clayton Henry. Queen jams it two-handed.
Well, that's one of the things he's very effective at. He moves well without the ball, and he got denied the ball in the wing, just basic basketball, the backdoor cut.
Henry done for the year. Harris not officially done for the year. He's out indefinitely. The Aggies are still hopeful that he could return when the season is nearing the end. And the ball will stay with Kansas City.
Pretty good pass. A nice backdoor cut by Trevlin Queen.
Zion Williams comes in for the Roos. Not Zion Williamson, the star Pelicans player. Zion Williams, young man from New York for the Roos. Aggies reverse it to Evan Gilliard, a transfer out of UTEP. Right back to Aorekoechea. Giles has to be careful. Inside, outside for Rice. A pull-up elbow jumper. Good-looking shot there for Jabari Rice.
It's interesting to see now Missouri-Kansas City is switching on ball screens, which is unusual. Maybe they feel like they can do it today because they're just so guard-heavy. They might as well switch, I suppose.
McKissick bounces in the corner. Nesbitt Jr. splashes in the three. And quickly a timeout is called by Billy Donlin for Kansas City, which you don't see all that often, but he's pretty heated right now with his team.
It's hard to know what Billy Donlin's upset about.
Well, you don't see a head coach 3 minutes in usually call a timeout after a made three, but I think it's on the defensive end where Billy Donlin doesn't like what he sees so far.
Well, the other thing that could be a factor is just with the brutal travel schedule that Kansas City's had, that if they can just get off to a good start here in the first half, they'll have a chance. If they dig themselves into a hole, the Kangaroos could have trouble. But if they can get off to a good start after being leg weary and up till 1 in the morning last night, maybe they'll have a chance.
They played UTRGV Thursday night, tried traveling to El Paso yesterday and had big time issues. Did not arrive until around midnight. The word was they were stuck in McAllen, Texas for a while and finally got to El Paso and then bust the 45-minute trip to Las Cruces. Pick and roll, Rice and Coachea. There's a strip that Kansas City thought was off Rice's leg, but they're going to say it stays with NM State.
Boy, it looked like it might have gone off his leg. It's hard to tell from that angle.
Rice the catch, fadeaway jumper from the baseline. Jabari Rice has 4.
And as thin as Jabari Rice looks, he's gained 15 or 20 pounds since last year. He's just got a world of potential. And here he comes.
Steals it on the wing. Lobs it for Queen, who flips it in. He wanted to dunk it.
Perfect pass by Jabari Rice.
Rice emerging this year as a sophomore, one of the early candidates for all-conference. At 14 on a Thursday against Chicago State. Aggie lead grows to 7. Here's Frank Camgain, bounces to Giles, who just picked up his second. And this one comes on the offensive end. And the depth in the front court for the Roos today will be tested. Even with Shaven White, when he was healthy, they were still pretty thin in the front court, and now they're really thin with Giles heading to the bench with 2.
And there was Chicago native Evan Gilliard taking one for the team right to the chest.
Aggies draw a lot of charges. Gilliard is new, and he's fitting right in early.
That's right, and he was just from down the road. It's the first time that anyone can remember a UTEP player transferring to New Mexico State. Big rivalry.
Gilliard lost it, unforced turnover. Nesbitt Jr. again. This one is good again. 2 made threes for Marvin Nesbitt Jr., who hasn't shot many, but he's 43% for the season.
Another Chicago kid.
And Aure Coachea is bumped. This one is probably our Josiah Alec, the freshman from Nebraska. Nope, they're going to call it a reach-in on Brandon McKissick. Aggies ahead by 4. It's the WAC Spotlight game on ESPN+. NM State 12, Kansas City 8. Our WAC Spotlight game on ESPN+ tonight from the Pan American Center in Las Cruces. So glad you could join us. There's Chris Jans, the third-year Aggie head coach. He's done quite the job with NM State. 28 wins 2 years ago, 30 last season. He felt like going into the year, Russ, that this should be his best team, so they scheduled really tough. And then all the injuries happened. Clayton Henry went down with an injury. So did A.J. Harris, Wilfred Lakai, all the way back in the preseason. Dejor Joseph recently. But despite all that, they've hung together, and they're 11-6, and they have some nice wins. And they're playing well here in WAC play so far.
That's right, he's done a phenomenal job, especially we talked about Kansas City losing Javen White and having injury issues, but Chris Jans has had injury issues all season. And so both teams are a little understaffed at this point.
Aggies have won 5 straight. The Roos have won 4 of their previous 5. They had their 4-game win streak snapped on Thursday in Edinburgh. Gilliard having issues, finally bounces in for McCants. Jabari Rice has had the hot hand early for NM State. McCants looking for his second made 3. That one is too strong. Offensive rebound for Queen. Rice at the head of the key. Mid-post for McCants. Aggies staying patient, under 10 to shoot, and McCants falls down along with Zion Williams. And here's where the matchups come into play. As Williams picks up the personal, you have a 6'4" guard trying to defend a pretty big 6'7" post player.
Yes, and Johnny McCants is listed at 6'7", but he plays at about 6'10". Just really strong and tough inside. Zion Williams will have his hands full down there.
Already 4 fouls on the Roos, none on the Aggies. Max Kleinschek just came in for the Roos, a sharp-shooting freshman from Slovenia. Gilliard checked by Hardnett. Kleinschek will defend McCants. Inside, outside for Queen, and he buries the triple.
Well, he's just so calm and cool. He doesn't seem like he's trying hard, but he sure gets a lot done.
The Aggies get the 3 from Queen, but I looked at the Aggie bench after they made 3, and Chris Jans wasn't happy that McCants did not attack Arn Kleinschek. He wants his big men to go after these younger and smaller guards that are defending post players.
Well, as we suspected, it's I think Chris Jans would like to see New Mexico State go inside against Kansas City and see if they can get them in even more trouble than they are without Javen White.
C.J. Bobbitt and Terrell Brown in for Rice and Aore Coachea. And Giles will re-enter for Alec. 2 personals for Jordan Giles, 15:06 left in the half. And Billy Donlin brings in his senior post player from Tuscaloosa. He really needs to be careful. Here's Cam Gain. Popping out is Giles. Right back to Cam Gain. 5 to shoot. A 3 over McCants is off the heel. Offensive board for Kleinschek. Sheer Harnett with 5 to shoot. Roos using a lot of shot clock again. Around the high hedge. Fadeaway 3 for Josh Sheer. Harnett, the WAC player of the week.
Boy, he's tough, but Evan Gilliard did all he could there. Just terrific help and still recovered and made hard to make a difficult shot for Kansas City.
Harnett averaged 22.5 per game last week. Roos now 3 of 6 from distance. Brown will trigger. It's a brick. And it's scooped up by Kleinschek. Terrell Brown has been shooting much better from 3 recently, and now he draws a charge on the other end. And it's whistled on McKissick, and that is number 2 on the star guard, Brandon McKissick.
Well, Terrell Brown was the leading scorer for New Mexico State a year ago, but he's struggled with a groin injury, which seems to have affected his shot. You know, he's shooting only 20% from the 3, but he was New Mexico State's best shooter a year ago.
Russ, now you have 2 Roos on the floor with 2 personals as McCants hammers it home. Giles with 2, McKissick with 2. Both guys are in. Giles just laid a big screen. Kleinschek can shoot it. And he misfires on that one. The backside, Bobbitt with the board. Yeah, Terrell Brown had such a good season last year offensively. He's been slowed by that groin this year. McCants, the kick out for Queen. Finger roll, fancy finish for Trev Queen.
It's just unbelievable. He does it. He's going to sing the national anthem, I think, next year. He just does everything. And, you know, he can make the threes, he rebounds, he can get to the basket.
You noticed in pregame he was mopping the floor.
He literally was mopping the floor in pregame. He's done it. He's done everything for New Mexico State.
That's the JUCO in him, I think. Second year with the Aggies, a JUCO transfer from Nimi. Hartnett off the mark, and this will be a foul on the Aggies, it looks like. And it's on Queen. You're just not supposed to be able to do it that easy when you're 6'6". You know, I mean, that's very unusual.
No, and that's one of the things that I think why Queen has so many admirers is he does a lot of little things too. He does more than just score.
He's having some issues, and it's barely saved at midcourt by Nesbitt Jr. He's made a couple threes here in the early stages. Strong move for Zion Williams, and he draws a foul. The young man from Maybrook, New York, who only averages 2 points per game, has been pretty good this week. He had 6 on Thursday.
Well, he's going to get a lot of minutes tonight, it looks like.
If you're Billy Donlin at this point, do you just leave Giles in or do you pick your spots?
He's
on when to put him in.
Well, it's a big issue, and well, you know who Billy Donlin will ask? He'll ask his father, Bill Donlin Sr. It's quite a staff they have, but I think that it's a huge decision for him. It's a gamble to, but he has no options. He's going to have to play Giles as much as he can.
Giles just took a seat, and freshman Josiah Alec, who's been used a lot this year. He's from Lincoln, Nebraska. He comes in for Giles. Sean Buchanan getting his first minutes for the Aggies. Ore Koachea going right after the freshman. Good collapsing help by Williams, and they force a jump ball.
Well, that's as good a defense as New Mexico State has seen this year. It's swarming, and Ore Koachea took a little too much time dribbling, I think. Look at there's 3 Kangaroos around him, 4.
We should note, too, these are the 2 best defensive teams in the conference, numbers-wise. The Aggies only averaging 60 points per game defensively. So they allow only 60. Roos allow only 69. That's 1 and 2 in the WAC. The Aggies 15th in the country in points per game allowed. And there are 12 left here in the opening half. Aggies ahead by 7. And a reach-in foul is called on NM State.
Well, that's frustrating for New Mexico State.
Lead has grown to 7, 8+ in. It's the WAC Spotlight game on ESPN+. NM State honoring the 1978-79 NCAA tourney team for the Aggies here today. Led by Slab Jones. It has showed some highlights from the Aggies playing Indiana State and Larry Bird that year in 78-79. The Aggies, the lone undefeated team left in the WAC. Huge surprise for a lot of schools, only 2 games in. And in Grand Canyon's case, they've only played 1 WAC game so far. There's a lot of parity in the conference this year, Russ, and I think it's pretty safe to say that Kansas City has been the surprise because they were picked second last in the preseason by the coaches and the media, and I think they're going to find themselves near the top all year.
Well, I think that's right, and I think it's a credit to Billy Donlin, who at one time was seen as one of the hot youngest head coaches in America, and got great experience at Wright State, had a lot of 20-game winning seasons, and really has quickly established himself in Kansas City.
Inside look at Chris Trience's huddle as the 78-79 Aggie team is honored. Played in the NCAA tournament. Slab Jones, who's on the floor right now, is still very involved in the program. You'll see him in every single game, and a lot of times during warm-ups, he's near the players when they're going through their layup line, and he's talking to Johnny McCants and Trev Queen and those guys. He's gotten to know them pretty well, and this has been a very accessible program for a long time, especially with Chris Trience. He wants the alums around. He wants the fans to feel like they're part of the program, and he makes everybody feel welcome.
That's right, and there'd be few programs in America that have the long and terrific history that New Mexico State basketball does. It's been a great program for many years. 23 wins or more in 8 straight seasons for this program, despite a couple of coaching changes because of success. Rob Whitfield with the catch. He's defended by Terrell Brown, and the Aggies draw another charge. They do that so well. Brown has drawn 2. And even to draw it on Rob Whitfield, who's as good a three-point shooter as there is in the league, normally he's not looking to drive as much as he is looking to pull up for 3, but Terrell Brown with terrific defense there.
How much of that is scouting?
Well, I think it's plenty, and you can give the Aggie assistant coaches credit for that, I imagine. This is just 2 very well-coached teams.
Rice connects from 3. Jabari Rice has 7. Second of the Aggies behind Queens 9. Lead grows to 12. Check that, lead grows to 10. It's been a pretty physical game near the arc so far. We've had a lot of fouls called on guards here in the first 8 minutes plus.
Jabari Rice has such a beautiful, efficient shot. There's no wasted motion. He catches it quickly, catches it high and kind of keeps it high and has a beautiful, beautiful follow through, beautiful arch.
Brandon McKissick is back in with 2 personals. Jordan Giles with 2 as well, but he's on the bench right now for KC. Freshman Alec, double team comes, maneuvers out of it, bullet pass into the corner, Whitfield saves it, and it is bobbled out of bounds by Johnny McCants. Especially if you double team a freshman post player, they can really rush it and choose poor decisions.
Well, Alec, his pass was a little bit off there. He nearly turned it over, but he recovered.
Nesbitt Jr. shooting the ball well. He averages 8 a game, and he has scored 8 in the first half.
From Butler High School in Chicago, but also played for the Chicago Demons, which is the same AAU team that Billy Donlin played for many years before.
Rice back out for McCants. Double team comes on him. He picks up his dribble. Under 10 to shoot. Rice hard of the rim, and he scoops it home. Rice has 9, matching Queen for game high honors.
He's slippery, isn't he? They're both slippery. Both Trevlin Queen and Jabari Rice.
And Buchanan's all over Hardnett. The BYU transfer slithers around 2 defenders. Underneath, somebody's open here. It's McKissick. And Buchanan draws a charge. My goodness.
Well, it's pretty good defense, huh? Sean Buchanan seems to take 2 or 3 of those a game.
It's scouting for sure, but it's more than anything probably positioning, right?
Well, that's right, and just the fact that Chris Jans drills defense into the New Mexico State Aggies. And a little bit of frustration on the Kansas City bench. They're struggling here.
Get this, NM State is shooting 83% from the field. 10 of 12, 3 of 5 on threes. Brown to the rim, and he draws the foul. The Aggies have been shooting the ball much better recently, 49% or better in 3 straight games, and they're also taking care of the ball, which they did not do in the first month plus this year. 10 turnovers or less in 3 straight games.
Well, I think the New Mexico State Aggies are still waiting for Terrell Brown to have his breakout game. He just I think with the groin injury, it sort of threw off his balance and seemed to affect his shot. This is a guy, I cannot overstate how sensational he was last spring, particularly in league play, but he's struggled so far this year as a senior.
There was a lot of talk last year in February and March about whether or not he would be the conference player of the year. He was that good.
Yes.
He was arguably the best player on the best team in the league last year. And now he's coming off the bench. Nesbitt's had a great first 10 minutes. Kicks it out for Giles, who's playing with 2 personals, and he swishes in the 3. Only his 19th attempted 3, but he shoots it really well, 15 feet and beyond.
But I think here's a smart move by Billy Donlin, and he's got Giles guarding C.J. Bobbitt, who's much less likely to go at the basket, more likely to shoot a 3. And can keep Giles out of foul trouble.
7 on the timer for Bobbitt. And he shuffled his feet and traveled with it before the shot.
But I think Bobbitt's got the right idea. He's going right at the guy with 2 fouls.
Yeah, he definitely traveled.
Well, they were little steps. That doesn't matter.
Baby steps don't count.
All right.
Turnover number 3 on NM State. Kansas City has committed a handful. Roos trying to get Hardnett going. Maybe gets away with a push-off, or at least Buchanan felt so, but it's a long teardrop that falls in for Hardnett.
Well, he's a point guard and a wide body.
Buchanan jumps to pass to Brown, and he buries the 3. And he was 5 of 11 in the previous 2 from distance coming in.
Yeah, and Sean Buchanan, who made that pass, doesn't score a lot of points for New Mexico State, but boy, he's just smart and crafty and never makes mistakes.
Buchanan Thursday had 9 assists, no turnovers in the win against Chicago State. Nesbitt Jr. rises, fires, and drills another. 11 for Marvin Nesbitt Jr. Roos are 4 of 8 from 3. The Aggies 4 of 6 from 3. Backdoor to Brown, leans in, banks it in.
Well, maybe this will be Terrell Brown's breakout game that the Aggie coaches have been waiting for.
Both teams pretty good offensively so far, making a lot of shots. Roos are at 57%. The Aggies 12 of 14 from the field. Jashir Harnett pushes outside for Nesbitt Jr. Great matchup here. Buchanan, one of the better defenders in the conference. Harnett, teardrop over Bobbitt, slips off to McCants. The Aggies have made 6 straight from the field, and Bobbitt is whistled for an offensive foul. He was trying to say he didn't do anything, but Harnett fell down, and that is offensive away from the ball on C.J. Bobbitt. The Aggies a blistering 86% from the field. They lead by 8. What has surprised you so far, Russ, on either side?
Well, I thought that offensive rebounds were going to be a key for New Mexico State, but since they don't miss any shots, it hasn't been quite effective. They've got 1 offensive rebound pretty far into the first half. So I'm surprised that, because I know that Billy Donlin is a terrific defensive coach, I'm surprised that they're shooting so well. To go 12 for 14 is sort of a dream, but let me say this also, Adam, is for Kansas City to be only down 8 with New Mexico State going 12 for 14, that's actually a good sign that Kansas City's closer than they ought to be at this point.
In case you're just joining us, the Roos have 2 key players with 2 fouls. Jordan Giles, who just caught the pass right here, and also Brandon McKissick, who is on the bench currently. And they're without their star big man, Javen White, a transfer from Clemson, who was leading the Roos in scoring and rebounding. 12 and 7 per game. He is out with an injury suffered on Thursday. Nesbitt Jr. turns the corner, and he's picking up the offense with 13 tough in the absence of White. Down low, Ray Coachea stuffs it home.
Well, a little bit, that's the first real screw up New Mexico that the Kansas City's had. It was just completely wide open. I don't know what happened there.
Kleinschak, the freshman from Slovenia. Giles made a 3 earlier. This time he puts it on the deck. He's blocked by Aore Coachea, but the Roos beat the Aggies to the ball. Kleinschak, he can shoot it like that, where he's moving all over the place and still stays composed, and he angles towards the hoop. Well done.
From Ljubljana, Slovenia.
The Aggies have made 7 straight from the field. 7 on the timer, and Sean Williams wasn't ready for it. Just came in the game. Williams wasn't ready for the pass from McCants. And that's tough for Williams, a guy who's really fighting right now for minutes.
Yeah. But with New Mexico State shooting 86% from the floor and Kansas City just hanging in there, it's actually, I wonder if New Mexico State thinks this is going to be easy. They're not going to shoot this well for the rest of the game.
Rice on the bench, Queen in. They've been the 2 best scorers for the Aggies here today. Gilliard thought about throwing that one to Aore Coachea. The Aggies haven't gone inside a ton the last 5 minutes or so. Gilliard with 4 to shoot, off balance 3, gets rim but misses. And it's pulled in by Josiah Alec. And That one's probably defensive. The Aggies trying to draw another charge, and this one is defensive on Evan Gilliard.
I think that was the right call, but it was close. Chris Jans might not agree.
That was foul number 7 on the Aggies, and they put the best free throw shooter in the WAC to the line, and he misses. That was just a third miss in 33 tries from the charity line for Hardnett this year. Oreko Achea sent it outside to Queen. Now the Aggies go inside twice. And Nesbitt Jr. bumps McCants on his way to the baseline, and Johnny McCants, who is not a very good free throw shooter, will go to the free throw line. Hardnett the best. McCants one of the worst in the conference. He's 36%.
Well, Hardnett just missed. Let's see if Johnny McCants can turn things upside down. Nope. But that was Nesbitt's first mistake of the day. He's been sensational for Kansas City.
One of the most interesting stats you will see is Johnny McCants shooting 40% from 3, yet 36% on free throws. Worse from the line than the arc. Extra pass, a corner 3 rims in for Jordan Giles. He's connected twice, and it's a one-possession game.
And this is with New Mexico State shooting over 80% from the floor.
And the Roos without their best big man. Foul away from the ball is on Giles, and the second best big man is Giles, and he just picked up his third. Big time foul trouble for Billy Donlin and KC, yet they're still in this one. It's a 2-point game at the Pan Am Center. We're back with you here at the Pan Am Center. One of the officials was just checking in with us, Dan Dorlin, about a previous shot that they were checking the monitor, whether it was a 2 or a 3. 32-30. The Aggies ahead by 2. A scoreless drought for the Aggies of almost 3 minutes. 2 minutes and 41 seconds in this Aggies scoreless drought. Aggies have controlled this all-time series. They have won 13 straight against the Roos, and this was the matchup here at the Pan Am Center last season. Danny Dixon connected on a 3 right there for KC. But it was all Aggies. Eli Chua found Clayton Henry. And if you're an Aggie fan, wouldn't it be nice to have him and that man, H.A. Harris? Terrell Brown swishes in the 3. The Aggies cruise against the Roos. The Aggies won by 16 here last season, and they won by 20 in Kansas City. The Roos won the first ever meeting back in 2014, but since the Aggies have won 13 straight against Kansas City. The Roos, by the way, playing in their final season in the WAC. They will move to the Summit League starting next season. And they have some big foul trouble right now, Russ. 3 on McKissick, 3 on Giles, and without Javen White. So you're looking at 3 players that are really big contributors, both offensively and defensively, who are not in and may not be in for a while for KC.
Well, I know it's not in Billy Donlin's DNA to play a lot of zone, but I wonder, I won't be shocked if they go into a zone to try and protect some of their guys.
Meanwhile, for the Aggies, nobody has more than 1. Terrell Brown waiting to check in for Williams if he makes the free throw, and he does. The biggest bright spot for the Roos in this half has been Marvin Nesbitt Jr. They needed somebody to pick up the slack, and he's doing it with 13 points on 5 of 6 shooting, 3 of 3 from 3, and we can't emphasize it enough. He was only averaging 8 points a game coming in.
Yeah, boy, he really came to play today.
Lines check, runs over Johnny McCants. Unofficially, 5 charges drawn by the Aggies in the half.
Yeah, and I don't think that's Kleincheck's game, the driving it. I think he's a 3-point shooter, and I think the Aggies sort of had him off of his game a little bit there.
Evan Gilliard runs the point for the Aggies. Slices his way underneath, finishes and one. Pretty move for the young man from Chicago in Simeon High School.
Well, he had a huge reputation in high school. He scored a lot of points for Simeon, one of the top programs in the country. And played pretty well at UTEP, but was frustrated and transferred 40 miles away.
Same high school as Jabari Parker. If you're going way back, Nick Anderson.
You can go way, yes, you can go by Ben Wilson, the late great Ben Wilson. Just a long and storied program.
Derrick Rose, of course, played at Simeon. So did Kendrick Nunn, who's having a good NBA career. They're still pretty good, aren't they, Coach, every single year?
I haven't noticed this year, but I'd be shocked if they weren't good.
Malik for three, misses. Queen rises high for the rebound. And the Aggies have a 5-on-4. Klein's check late to get back. Rice for three. His first miss from the field in the half. Hardnett gets a ball screen from Malik. Need to close out our Nesbitt Jr., who muscles up and will go to the free throw line for two.
Boy, he's might as well put on a Superman cape, Nesbitt. I mean, he's doing everything. Just keeping them close.
He's never really been known as a scorer collegiately. Last season he made 20 starts, but only averaged 4 points per game. He went scoreless in 12 minutes on Thursday. And look at that stat line for Marvin Nesbitt Jr. in the first 17-plus minutes.
But even more interesting to me, Adam, is that the Aggies are shooting nearly 80%, and they're only up 6. You know, usually if you go on the road and the home team shooting 80%, you're down 20 at halftime. But Billy Donlan's team has hung in there. They just sort of refuse to quit.
Career high, by the way, for Nesbitt, 15. He's almost already there. Evan Gilliard. Stripped away and stolen by Hardnett. 6 Aggie turnovers, which is a little high for them. Hardnett and one. When he gets rolling, he can really get rolling. Jashir Hardnett from Gulfport, Mississippi, transfer from BYU.
The battle of the lefties there as he gets the better of Evan Gilliard.
It just looks better when they're left-handed too, doesn't it? It looks smoother. I think it does.
I always think so, and it's hard to, you know, guys, lefties are harder to guard because there's fewer of them. Or that's the theory anyway.
Hardnett, the WAC Player of the Week. He also had 17 on Thursday after averaging just over 22 in the 2 games last week. We'll get to him later. We have some highlights of some of his big shots recently. He's made some huge shots in this recent 5-game stretch for KC. Under 2 minutes left here in the first half. Lead was once 11 for the Aggies. Backdoor to Brown, who bounces off the defender and lays it in off the square.
When again, he was sensational a year ago. He's playing well tonight. Maybe he's overcome the groin injury finally.
Steal for Queen. Look out.
The WAC's MVP a year ago in the WAC tournament MVP, Trevelyan Queen.
Strong finish to the half for the Aggies. Much like how they started this first half. Hardnett, teardrop no good, puts it up no good in midair. Aggies push. Buchanan for Brown. Passes up the 3 for a better look.
Well, and that's what Terrell Brown needs, is just to get untracked and Boy, look out if he gets on track.
NM State has won 18 straight at home in conference play. Only one conference home loss since January 2012. And the crowd is making an impact. 3-second difference, game clock, shot clock. Hardnett a step back three over Queen. Rice has time. Rice with one. Brown for three. Air ball. And that would have brought the house down. I don't think Rice knew how much was on the clock. The Roos cut it to a one-possession game, and the Aggies finish on a 6-0 run over the final 140-42-33 here at the half. It's the WEC Spotlight game.
Well, don't count out Kansas City here. I just don't think there's any way New Mexico State will shoot, nearly 80% again in a half.
True. Yeah, Kansas City, despite being on the road, where they've only won one road game, and despite the opponent shooting almost 80%, they are still in this. The Aggies finished on a good run in the first half, and they start off this half strong. A hammer dunk again, the second for Johnny McCants. McCants has been on a different level recently, double figures in 5 of the previous 7. Giles with 3 personals, defended by Aore Coachea, double team Kane. McKissick also has 3 fouls. Whitfield a quiet first half, and Rob Whitfield on his first shot of the game connects from 3.
Well, he's attempted more 3-pointers than anybody on Kansas City. We were waiting for him to get on track here.
He's one of the few not in foul trouble for the Roos. Aggies go right to Aore Coachea, and he flips it in.
Well, if they keep shooting layups and dunks, they will shoot 80%, and I know that's got to drive Billy Donlin crazy.
If you're the Aggie head coach, Chris Gians, do you feel like Aore Coachea or whoever is defended by Giles has to get a touch every possession?
I think that's right, and I think that's probably been discussed.
Giles defending Aore Coachea. McCants stays on his feet and gets whistled for traveling.
Well, he must have dragged that pivot foot there. Let's see if McCants drags that pivot. Oh, no, that's the dunk. He was fine there.
Roos 7 of 14 from 3. Big reason why they are still in the game. McKissick mid-range. Brandon McKissick, WAC All Defensive Team pick a year ago. He's a double-figure scorer, a 3-year starter. We just haven't seen much of him because of foul trouble. He has 3. Alec defends Aore Coachea, and before the shot, it's a hold on Josiah Alec. That's his second.
Boy, it's a tough assignment for Alec as a first-year player to come into New Mexico State and have to deal with these guys inside all game.
Billy Donlin brought in Alec moments ago to defend Aore Coachea so Giles could defend McCants. Now the Aggies go to McCants. They're just picking on Giles right now. Outside for Gilliard. Rice to Aore Coachea. And Alec picks up his 3rd. So now 3 on Josiah Alec, 3 on Jordan Giles, and 3 on Brandon McKissick.
And they're just going to have to watch Alec. He's just a little bit outmanned here. Aure Coachea is 23 years old and a real veteran.
They lob it for Queen, and he jumps over Whitfield and uses his 4 inches to flip it in. Trev Queen with 13. Around the horn for Giles, who made 2 first-half threes. Gilliard double-teamed. Baseline, Aore Coachea fakes the handoff. Slings it out for Rice. Pull-up jumper. Grab by McKissick. Throws it away. McCants almost tipped it in the hoop.
Well, great hustle by McCants to beat everybody back. He can really run for a big guy.
Right back to Aure Coachea. And that's offensive. He can't believe it. Offensive foul on Aure Coachea. I wonder if it's because the ball was near his shoulders. Yeah,
well,
maybe. Yeah.
He sort of wedged that elbow in there pretty good.
That's the third on Aure Coachea, so he will take a seat. We haven't seen the big freshman, Will McNair, yet in the game. C.J. Bobbitt comes in for Aure Coachea. We've talked a lot about the lack of depth in the front court for Kansas City. It's kind of similar for the Aggies with Robert Brown leaving the program, choosing to transfer. The Aggies aren't all that deep either in the front court.
No, that's right. And we thought we might see William McNair, the big fella from Philadelphia. He hasn't played yet today.
McNair usually plays a few minutes a game. Poor pass by Whitfield, intercepted by the Aggies. No numbers, though. Rice to Bobbitt, who is still scoreless. He only averages 6 a game. Quiet day as well for Gilliard. Rice and Queen have done the majority of the scoring. It's Rice to Queen. Shallow on the three, pulled in by Cam Gang. Almost stolen by Queen. Williams, blocking foul. Evan Gilliard. Fans wanted a charge.
Well, pretty good effort by Evan Gilliard, the Chicago kid, the transfer. He's working hard there. It was close.
That's the third on Gilliard. So now he will sit, and Buchanan comes in. Now we're going to see McNair, the big man from Philly. Hard to miss him. He's listed 6'10", 265. That might be a little smaller than what he is. He's a big boy. Redshirt freshman. Williams floats it in. This might just be one of those games where there really isn't a true big for Kansas City, Russ, and it might just be hard for him to play on a day like today. Couple miscues by the Aggies with McNair in. He tried to catch that one in the wing, and the Aggies turn it over. 15:57 left in half two. 48-40, WEC Spotlight game on ESPN+. Adam Young with Russ Bradford. Our director is Vinny Conway. Our producer is Rita Rodriguez, and our engineer is John Reyes. Our entire crew, great to have you with us. Anthony Casaus is our talent stats, and he feeds us a great one right here, Russ. The Aggies, the last time they shot 60+% from the field in a game was 2016. Right now they are at 74% for the game. So well on their way to potentially getting there.
That's impressive.
We get a foul called on Jabari Rice. He knew it all the way. He knew it. Now he's signaling to his bench. He said, that's 2. I'm staying out here. That's 2. That's not 3. That's only 2. There's no confusion about how many fouls Jabari has. Giles playing with 3. Good defense by McNair. And he saves it to Buchanan.
And look at him run. Look at the big fella run there.
Run to the floor well. Queen saw him. He was trying to reward him. And it was stolen. I don't mind that if you're the Aggies. You try to reward the big guy for running the floor.
That's right.
Queen meets Cam Gain at the rim, and a foul is called on Trev Queen.
Well, the Kansas City Kangaroos just refuse to quit. They just keep hanging in there. Well, he got him with the body there. I think that was the locals don't agree, but that seemed like the right call there.
Cam Gain from Kansas City only played 2 minutes on a Thursday in a loss against UTRGV. 9 minutes so far today. And the ball goes to the Aggies, who are in a scoreless drought of almost 3 minutes. 4 turnovers in the previous 350 for Chris Jantz's team. Both teams can't miss from 3, but both teams can't make free throws here in this game. Right now, the Roos 3 of 8 on free throws. The Aggies 4 of 8. Both teams shooting well from 3, though. 40% plus for both. The Aggies feed McNair. And before the shot, a reach-in foul is called on Alec. One freshman going up against another. Alec's a true freshman. McNair redshirted a year ago. Alec just picked up his 4th.
And this is a big body here, Adam. Look at how big William McNair is. He's just, and he can really run, and he's got good hands. He's got a world of potential.
Giles with 3. He comes in for Alec, who now has 4. The Aggies throwing to McNair on the perimeter, which you don't see very often, trying to inbound it. Bobbitt stays on his feet and he lays it in. CJ Bobbitt, his first points of the game. Lead grows to 10. Biggest lead was in the first half. It was 11. Roos have not led. Giles with the hook. McNair with the board. Buchanan to the rim. Sends it out for Brown, who had a great first half. And then Buchanan couldn't find it. A little sloppy at times, turning the ball over.
I think Buchanan was just sort of got ahead of himself there. He was going to pass it before he had it.
That's 11 turnovers on the Aggies. They had 10 or less in the previous 3. Each of those games, 10 or less. Pick and pop for Giles, who swishes in the 3. 3 made threes for Giles. That's just a tough matchup for McNair to get out there in the arc to defend it.
Well, that's right. And if our viewers haven't seen Kansas City up till today, they're playing without Javen White, who's their leading scorer for the year. They're only really true big guy.
Bobbitt for 3. Buchanan tips it, looking for McNair. And now Harnett's in the backcourt. He has to tie his shoe.
You don't think he's faking it?
I don't think so.
It's an old trick. Your shoe's untied.
Finally gets in the front court. Head coach Billy Donlin calls out the play. Harnett gets a ball screen from Giles. Shot might have been altered by the 6'10" McNair. Aggies aren't as smooth an offense with Queen on the bench. Or with Aore Koache on the bench. Tip is no good for Rice after the miss by McNair.
Well, McNair didn't make that, but I liked what he did there. I think he's got a lot of potential. Just a genuine big guy.
Giles from Tuscaloosa, 3-year starter. He's had a good day. Harnett, the BYU transfer, who started his career at Fordham for a year and redshirted. Giles again from 3. Missed that one short. Nearly 8 minutes into this half, the Aggies ahead by 7. Roos have not led, and we get a foul away from the ball on Whitfield. The unfortunate thing today for the Roos, with White out, they could really use Whitfield's offense. He averages 9 a game, and he's only scored 3 points the entire game. He's had a tough day. Now, part of that could be Chris Jans and the Aggies taking him out of what he does well, which is shoot threes. Aggies having issues again trying to inbound, so they inbound for McCants. This is more of an offensive lineup with Queen, McCants, and Brown. Queen's floater is off. And the defensive rebound is corralled by Nesbitt Jr. McKissick with the left hand. Ferguson, Missouri native Brandon McKissick.
Well, and now, you know, Kansas City's within 5. And it might be 3 here in a second.
Soft pass by Buchanan. Chris Jans furious. And we might see Gilliard come in for Buchanan. 11:29 left in half 2. The WAC Spotlight game on ESPN+. It's a 2-possession game here at the Pan American Center. NM State trying to stay in first place in the conference, while the Roos are looking to get a huge road win here on top of Lou Henson Court. It's our WAC Spotlight game here today on ESPN+. Great to have you with us. Alongside Ross Bradford, Adam Young on hand. How about the Roos? They're sticking in this one. It's a 5-point game.
It's remarkable, really. They had every chance to quit with the Aggies shooting 80% in the first half, and they have just whittled away, and here they are within 5.
Marvin Nesbitt Jr. had a big first half for Kansas City. He hasn't scored yet in half 2, but they're finding a way to score against the Aggies, and defensively the Roos have stepped it up, and they've outscored the Aggies 12-8 here in the half.
And the only place, you know, defensively where they've had trouble is they're just outsized with Javen White out of the game with a neck injury from his game in Texas a couple nights ago. But other than being outsized down in the low post, they've just done a phenomenal job defensively.
NM State 2-0 in the WAC. The Roos are 2-1. Low loss came 2 days ago against UTRGV. The Aggies played their first conference game with A.J. Harris for 9 minutes before he injured his ankle. He's out indefinitely. Giles has been in foul trouble all day, but he has stayed in for the most part. He's playing with 3 fouls again. And even with the foul trouble, he's still managed to play 21 minutes so far. Billy Donlin has trusted him, and he's been able to stay on the floor.
Well, I think that's the thing that has caught my attention, is just how composed this Kansas City team is for being at one of the most difficult places in the country to play. And you don't, you know, Billy Donlin's a different style. He's not screaming and cursing and stomping his feet. He's very subdued.
There's A.J. Harris. Giles will shoot 2. Harris out indefinitely. He did tweet this week that he's done for the season, but the Aggies are still hopeful that A.J. will heal quick and find a way to maybe play in some games down the stretch. We'll see. Might be a long shot, but
just terrible luck for A.J. Harris, who's been such a great player, and he's so fun to watch. And he's maybe 5'9", but boy, he's fast and could shoot the ball.
And you said before the game, the addition of Evan Gilliard has turned out to be even bigger with Harris out.
I thought that there was no way that the Aggies would need Evan Gilliard this year. Now they need him at every turn.
7-0 Kansas City run, 1-possession game. McCants backing down Nesbitt Jr., forces a foul on Nesbitt with 10:55 left here in half 2. Five on the Roos, 6 on the Aggies. Roos cut it to a 1-possession game late in the first half. Brown able to tip it in midair on the inbound.
Well, that's the second time, though, Kansas City got caught with their head turned on that. You've got to see both your man and the ball.
The Aggies finished the first half on a 6-0 run of the final, a minute 40. Finished the half strong, but here in half 2, it's been pretty much all KC.
Well, and Whitfield got caught with his head turned there. Now, I don't know if you'd seen Billy Donlon as a high school player like I did. And he played like he was 40 years old. He couldn't run, he couldn't jump, but boy was he crafty and smart. And imagine that, his team was crafty and smart.
I think it's really cool too, and we'll talk about this probably a little bit later. His dad is on his staff. His dad is a program director, if you will, kind of an administrative role, just kind of oversees stuff. And his dad was a great college coach in his own right.
That's right. Has a reputation of a really brilliant tactician.
Steal, forced by Rice, stolen by Brown. Alley-oop for McCants.
Beautiful timing by Jabari Rice and Johnny McCants.
Crowd's back into it. Aggies have won 18 straight conference home games. Spin move McKissick. And right there for the putback was Zion Williams. He has 6 off the bench. Roos hanging in there. C.J. Bobbitt hands it off to Rice. Here's Queen in front of the Aggie bench, defended by the freshman Kleinschek. And he throws it out of the reach of Bobbitt on the post entry.
Well, maybe trying a little too hard there to go to the post.
Russ, I think there's something to be said about trying too hard to feed the post whenever somebody has foul trouble, and that's maybe what the Aggies have done at times here in the half.
Well, one of the things I thought would happen going into this game is the Aggies would pound the offensive boards. They've only had 2 offensive boards all night, or all afternoon.
Rice still with 9, looking for McCants. It's tapped, grabbed by Bobbitt. Queen for 3, way off. Nesbitt Jr. rips it in. We approach the Entertainment Media 54-49. Aggies trying to go to 3-0 in the WAC. The lone undefeated team left. Roos trying to go to 3-1. McKissick, heart of the rim. Layup is no good. Had a pretty good look. 3-on-3. Brown for 3. Queen leaping high, and it goes off his hand out of bounds.
Trevlin Queen really went after that. And that's the kind of shot that Terrell Brown was making so often last year.
Roos trying to do what only one team has done since January 2012. It was Utah Valley who beat the Aggies here in this building during the lone season for Paul Weir as the head coach. Only one conference home loss since January 2012 for the Aggies. It was against Utah Valley. In the lone season a few years ago for Paul Weir. Christians has not lost a conference home game. Giles on the catch, squares up on Aore Coachea. Whitfield, a great three-point shooter. One of the best in the conference.
And now it's a 2-point game. Just really impressive the way Kansas City has just refused to give up here. They're like the pest in ping pong who just keeps hitting it back to you.
Ten to shoot. Ball screen Aore Coachea. He rolls, and Brown was late to feed it to him. Harnett was right there on the doorstep.
Yeah, perfect help by Hartnett.
Roos haven't led. Turnover number 15 on the Aggies. We also haven't been tied yet today. We're tied now. Jordan Giles with a scoop and score.
Well, we've got a heck of a game here with the undermanned Kansas City. And to be fair, the Aggies have had their share of injuries too. They've got guys that won't play this year that were normally starters.
No call. Aore Coachea tips in his own miss. Not a bad idea.
And I wonder if is Nesbitt.
McKissick's the one who fell to the hardwood.
Yeah. I thought he was hurt for a second. He's okay.
I think maybe they're going to check on a flop here. Back. We'll take the under 8 media. Aggies ahead by 2 here at the Pan Am Center. Adam Young, Russ Bradford on hand here at the Pan Am Center. It's the Aggies ahead by 2. NM State since 2009-2010, they are 73-4 in WAC home games. The Roos trying to do something that has been done very few times the last 10 plus years. Team comparison coming in. The Aggies with 11 wins, Roos with 9. They only had 11 wins last year. Both teams been pretty good offensively this year. We figured, just judging by the numbers, looking at the rebound margin, that the Aggies would dominate the glass today, and they really haven't. They're only +3.
No, and on top of that, only 3 offensive rebounds. You know, and with Kansas City being outsized, it's impressive. They're not giving up a lot of second shots.
As it turns out, there was a no call after the lay-in for Aure Coachea. The officials just blew their whistle because McKissick was on the ground. Two head coaches that know each other very well. Chris Gian spoke this week about how much respect he has for Billy Donlin. They've coached against each other before. It was back when Chris Gians was at Bowling Green. His second game at Bowling Green, they played Wright State. And Billy Donlin was the head coach in Bowling Green, and Chris Gians won by 15 that game. McKissick runs over Gilliard, and it's a charge on Brandon McKissick.
Well, Gilliard finally got a break there. He tried to take a couple charges, and the calls went against him, but that time he got it. And it was risky. That would have been his 4th foul.
And it's McKissick's 4th in return. So that was a gamble for both. One of the two was going to get their 4th, and it turns out to be Brandon McKissick, and Gilliard stays on the floor. But so does McKissick. Billy Donlin knows this is crunch time, so he has Giles and McKissick in foul trouble both on the floor. Aure Coachea on the reverse. He has 4 in a row.
Well, that was the first time I really saw Giles sort of back up a little bit. I think he's, for good reason, he's worried about fouling out.
Giles backing down Aure Coachea, sends it out for the freshman Klein's check. His 3 pinballs off, snatched in by Aure Coachea. They find Brown in transition. Thought about it, didn't take it. Aggies shooting 64% for the field. This would be the best since 2016 if it holds. Aure Coachea with the jump hook, and it's no good. Good move, though.
But Jordan Giles, he's just done a phenomenal job of staying in the game. That was pretty good defense there without risking a foul.
And he's given up a couple of inches and some weight on Aure Coachea. So big minutes late for the freshman Klein's check out of Slovenia. Here is Whitfield. Aure Coachea defending him. He used the backboard, couldn't bank it in. Slipping was Whitfield. He's whistled for the personal. That's his 3rd. So 3 on Whitfield, 3 on Giles, 4 on Alec, and 4 on McKissick. And the Aggies in the bonus, and Evan Gilliard, who missed a free throw earlier, will shoot 1 and 1. Gilliard averaged 14 a game last season, led UTEP in scoring. Became eligible at this semester, so he's playing in his 6th game, his 2nd straight start. He's averaging 8 per game, but he has only scored 3 for the day. If you grew up playing basketball in Chicago, you've been in some big games and in some big environments, right?
That's right, and he's battle hardened, a tough kid.
Gilliard defends, McKissick on the switch. Nesbitt Jr. trying to stuff it in over Queen. Good verticality. Sling pass for Brown. Buries the triple. Timeout, Billy Donlin in Kansas City. Billy Donlin irate. He thought a foul should have been called on the other end. Aggie lead grows to 9 in Las Cruces. There's a look at former Aggie Ian Baker, who's in town watching this one tonight. Was working out in Complex the last couple of days, still playing overseas, and his former ball club leads Kansas City by 9. Now, Billy Donlin, the head coach for Kansas City, was absolutely furious during the timeout and before the timeout because of a no call right here. He felt like a foul should have been called on Trev Queen. And Russ, this is a big swing in the game. No call leads to a 3.
It was a big turnaround. It could have been Kansas City pulling within 4 if Nesbitt had made that. But
and if it wasn't for Billy Donlin's assistance, he was going to get teed up by Glenn Mayberry, the official, who was on his final straw there.
Well, that's right, and it was the first really, he's pretty calm and cool on the sideline, so he must have really been, that was his first real emotional reaction up to this point.
Roos had tied it, and now the Aggies build their lead back to 9, biggest lead 11. Do you feel like maybe the foul trouble is starting to catch up to him a little bit?
Well, not really. Not on that last series it wasn't. It's just that Terrell Brown that was an NBA range 3 that we just saw Terrell Brown drop, and that's what he was doing all year last year. And I'm not sure why exactly Trevlin Queen got beat so close to the basket there, but he got a lucky break that the Kangaroos did not score.
This is a big possession here for Kansas City. Nesbitt Jr., 13 in the first half, has not scored in this half. And an offensive foul is called on Kansas City away from the ball. Billy Donlin rips off his jacket.
Well, and that's Jordan Giles with his 4th.
Well, here's another benefit of having your dad on the bench. His dad, Bill Donlin, just went over to Billy and said, "Be careful." He ripped off the jacket. Bill sprinted over to him and said, "Be careful."
Yeah.
This is not the time to do it.
Well, big call, because Jordan Giles now has 4 fouls, and he's got to guard Oro Cochea.
Long floater misses for Gilliard. McKissick to a wide open Hardnett. Rims in the 3. Jashir Hardnett, the WAC Player of the Week.
Well, that helps the Kangaroo cause there.
He's had his season average. Now he has 10. Rice hands it off to Brown. Slipping was Aore Coachea. Gilliard, short corner, Aore Coachea. Giles with just 3. NBA range, Trev Queen for 3.
Just as calm as could be. He does something that you teach big guys to do, is if you catch the ball high, keep it high. But Trevlin Queen does it on his jump shot. He'll catch the ball high and keep it high.
Nesbitt looking for an answer. Spins off. Aore Coachea, his 3rd rebound. Queen to Aore Coachea. Outside for Brown. Buries another.
Well, and he's needed to break out of his slump. That's 18. That's his season high for Terrell Brown, but it was a daily occurrence last season.
Biggest lead for the Aggies. Giles with an answer. 4th for Giles from 3. He had only made 8 in the first 17 games.
Boy, they just won't quit, Kansas City.
Rice from the wing with 2 minutes left. Aore Coachea wide open in the key. Goes to his left. Rebound snatched in by Whitfield. Do you feel like this has been a breakout game for Terrell Brown?
Well, I've been hoping to see that all year.
Foul is called on Gilliard. The Aggies felt like it probably should have been a double dribble. This will take us to break. 1:50 left in our WAC Spotlight game on ESPN Plus. The Aggies lead 69-60. What a moment right there here at the Pan Am Center. 69-60. Adam Young, Roos Bradford with you in our WAC Spotlight game here on ESPN Plus. The Aggies shooting 62% from the field. If they finish like this, they'll shoot 60% plus for the first time since 2016 in a November game against Nicholls State. The Aggies on the road for their next three. Kansas City will head back to the Swinney Rec Center. They're going to play Bakersfield and then Grand Canyon, and then travel for a tough game at California Baptist in Riverside. I would be shocked if the Roos, when the season is done, don't finish in the top three in the conference.
Well, it's a little early to say, but I'm going to agree with you, as I often do, Adam. Yeah, I think they're impressive. They're tough and strong and smart. They're a little bit undersized with their big guy with Javen White out, but he's going to be back.
Javen White, who's out today with an injury suffered Thursday, he averages 12 and 7. Leads them in scoring and rebounding. Now this is a team that's pretty similar to the Aggies in which they have balanced scoring, so it's not like it's one guy and then a bunch of role players around him. Barnett missing 2 free throws today. Had only missed 2 the entire year coming in 32 tries. Now you just use some clock if you're Chris Jans and the Aggies. Right back to Ore Coachea. Outside for Rice. He'll launch a 3, and he connects from 3. Timeout Aggies.
Well, and that was pretty deep there.
This is a really good sign again for NM State. They're starting to really shoot well from 3. Double-figure made threes, and 3 straight coming in. They haven't shot as many as they usually do today, but they're 8 of 17, which is great.
And just a nice pass by the big Spaniard, and Jabari Rice nails it.
Still early on at conference play. The Aggies coming off a win against Chicago State. On Thursday, they beat California Baptist in their opener. It's been tight games for Kansas City. That Seattle U game was a thriller. They haven't lost at home yet this year. They're going to head back home for 2 straight after this one today. Buchanan picks up Harnett. $1:25 left. Harnett has it intercepted. Rice to Brown. Why not? Rebound backside for Nesbitt Jr. I don't think Chris Jans liked the shot. Quick trigger for Whitfield. Swishes it in. I don't think Chris Jans liked the shot.
No, but they are, boy, Kansas City, we see Chris Jans giving his team an earful. Kansas City just keeps hanging in there. It's going to be a very different game when the Aggies travel to Kansas City to play.
I know it's easy to say in retrospect, but Terrell Brown probably should have just pulled it out, right?
I think so, but it's hard to, you know, he's been shooting so well, it's hard to argue with him on that one. Also, I think everybody in the building was wanting Terrell Brown to break out, to have the breakout game. You know, he's only shooting 20% for the year from the three-point line. So tonight he cuts loose. He's got 18 points on 10 shots, and so it's hard not to sort of be in his corner.
Aggies in position to make it 14 straight wins against KC. Roos won the first ever meeting. Aggies have won 13 straight and in position to make it 14 in a row. Eight fouls on the Aggies, 8 fouls on the Roos. The Aggies go with Buchanan, Gilliard, Rice, Brown, and Queen. A lot of guards on the floor for the Aggies. In fact, it's 5 guards right now. A lot of ball handlers. You don't need to rush. You're ahead by 8 with 50 seconds left. Eight to shoot for Rice. Double team comes near midcourt. Rice with 2 to shoot. And the Aggies can't get one off. Stolen by McKissick, ahead for Hardnett. Takes it hard to the rim, runs over Gilliard, and that's a blocking foul on Gilliard. And he's done, that's his 5th.
Well, Evan Gilliard doing all he can. That's the third time tonight that he's nearly in position to take the charge. Didn't quite get the call. We don't want to, you know, he's copying Sean Buchanan, who may be the best charge taker in America.
Well, it is contagious when you see everybody else doing it, trying to draw charges. You kind of feel like you have to blend in as well.
Well, and if the Kangaroos come up with a three-pointer here, it's right back into hot water for the Aggies, as we see Billy Donlin drawing up a play.
Hardnett will shoot 1 free throw as well. It's a 2-possession game. Hardnett has struggled from the line today. 2 of 4. He was 30 of 32. Coming in. He's had a quiet 13 on 5 of 12 shooting. This is another.
This is 3.
Wow. He can't believe it.
Well, no time expired, so that's a positive for Kansas City. And Giles is out.
Giles just picked up his 5th. What a really good day, though, for Giles. You look at his stat line, he ends up playing 29 minutes, 16 points. He fouls out. He makes 4 threes, only had 8 made threes the entire season coming in. He picked up his 3rd early on in the game.
Yes.
And just kept on playing.
He's had a terrific game. You know, he was under control, and you know, the odds were against him. He did terrific all game. As we see his secret handshake there with Rob Whitfield, or Zion Williams, I guess.
It looked bleak early on for Kansas City. Giles got in foul trouble immediately. They knew they didn't have Jabin White. And they have found a way to put it all together. Oh, man. Rice, an 81% free throw shooter. Averages 12 a game. He has 13 today. Splits the pair. 7-point game. Roos have to hurry. This is McKissick. Needs to hurry. They find Whitfield, a sniper from 3, and he rings in the triple. Rob Whitfield, scoreless in half 1, a dozen in half 2. Wow, here they come again.
Yes, I mean, just it's really remarkable that this Kansas City team just keeps hanging in there. Here's Whitfield, who's made more than anyone on the Kangaroos this year, so no shock that he made another one.
Whitfield last season, 42% from 3, which led the WAC. He's 37% this season. Played his JUCO ball at Hutchinson Community College, and if you played at Hutch,
that's serious basketball.
That's good basketball.
It's just like Division I basketball.
So Whitfield shooting the Roos right back in it. 4-point game. The Aggies today 7 of 12 on free throws, but for the season, they've been the worst free throw shooting team in the conference, 67%. And honestly, that's kind of been the theme around the program the last couple of years. They have not been very good free throw shooting teams. We'll see who the Aggies come out with, and then we can try to figure out who the Roos might foul in this scenario, or at least try to foul.
Well, they'll go after Johnny McCants. If if they can, or Sean Buchanan, who's a pretty good free throw shooter but doesn't shoot a lot of them.
Brown, Queen, and Rice, the best free throw shooters on the floor. Buchanan's been better this year. McCants will inbound, so he probably will not get it back. The Aggies tossed it ahead for Queen, and they overthrew him. They overthrew Queen, and it's going to be Kansas City ball. And I think when he touched it, he was out of bounds, so the Roos should get it underneath their own hoop.
Well, that's the danger of trying to break their, they tried to break their back with the layup there, but the danger is if nobody touches it. And
they're going to check the monitor to see if Queen touched it, I believe, before it was out of bounds or after it was out of bounds. Because if he touched it before it was out of bounds, the Roos will get it underneath the Aggie hoop. And
his foot's on the line.
His foot's on the line,
Yeah.
so it should be Roos ball underneath their own cylinder.
But he had the right idea. Just saving it would have given the Kangaroos 92 feet to go.
I'm not the best lip reader, but I believe Chris Chan said to Johnny the Cans.
Yes.
Well, I thought he said to Johnny, I told you only throw it if he's open.
Oh, I thought he said my fault.
Which he may have.
No. Would be hard for him to take the blame on that. I didn't think he was open. I didn't think it warranted the pass. But if Queen could have just touched it, it would have kept things. It would have forced them to go a lot further. Oh, he did touch it. They did call that he touched it before his foot hit the ground.
And they took .3 off.
All right.
So now reads 16.9. And the Roos have to go 94 feet. Hard net blocked away by Queen. And that should be the dagger.
And the right move by Whitfield. He fouled quickly, kept his composure. Watch Trevlin Queen.
Where did he come from? Out of nowhere.
Well, I don't think that was Hartnett thinking he got fouled there. I didn't think that was a foul at all. Maybe just frustrated. And it was, I thought it was a smart move that a three didn't help them as much as just any basket.
That was the 10th foul on Kansas City. Jabari Rice, heady move though, going after it. But it's a two-shot foul because it was the 10th. Buchanan's second is good. Still a two-possession game. Roos really have to hurry. Heart of the rim is Whitfield. The Aggies just get out of the way. 3.2 left. Need to get it in. It's loose. It's scooped up by Nesbitt Jr. They needed a three. He shot a two. And that's the ball game.
Well, they could have dribbled it out to shoot the three, but what a remarkable game by Kansas City. Just a great game for WAC basketball. Two terrific teams.
Aggies improved to 12-6, 3-0 in the WAC. They have now won 21 straight against conference opponents, and they have 19 straight conference home wins. Roos fought hard. They trailed by 11 at one point in the first half. They battled all the way back and tied it in half two. They fall to 2-2 in the WAC. They are now 9-9 with their overall record.